All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Monisha, and I'm part of the admissions team at NU. And for all of you who are here in the session today, this is going to be an extremely interesting session because it is something which is very important to all of us, and especially the bunch of you who are attending the session today, the ones who are right at that young age, trying to make your presence felt and trying to take a step into the university, outside of the university, and about to step into the world, at large on your own. So we have with us Nidhi Mittal today. So Nidhi has about over
Hi,
15
everybody.
years of work experience. She has held various leadership positions in a global working environment, both at the sales and marketing function and of the service delivery side. She's a bachelor's from Delhi University and an MBA from Malta International School. And Nidhi, of course, is going to tell us a little bit more about herself. But just to tell you, she currently heads the marketing function at Tata Advanced Systems and is very, very passionate about personal branding and promotes that very actively. So, in today's session, which is going to be about creating your own personal brand, Nidhi will help us understand what are the key things that we should be doing, keeping in mind while we are going ahead into our journey into the world, and how is it that we can make our presence felt. So, over to you, Nidhi.
Thank you so much, Monisha. Thank you so much for bringing in me to this platform and giving me an opportunity to practically share my experience, right? So before I start, is there an option where we can unmute everybody for, let's say, 1 minute, 30 seconds, if that is an option?
So, Balendu, you'll have to confirm whether
Yeah,
that's
student can unmute themselves now.
Okay. So guys, before we start, because we are all working in a very, very socially scumbing and a lockdown setup for almost half of this year now, let's start with some high energy note. And more than me, I'm sure you are well versed with this. So how's the Josh right now? Answer me.
Hi, mom.
Just one person? Come on. Every I can
Hi,
see.
ma'am.
Hi, ma'am.
Yes. Hi. So you don't have to say hi, just all together. How's the Josh right now?
Hi.
Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
Great. All right. So, Balindu, you can now mute them off. Great, guys. See, we all need this energy, to be honest. And, I've just come on board right now with you guys after a whole days of work in the middle of the week. So I think probably I did it for myself, right? I always love to start on a high note. And just to set up the context of today's session, we have around 55 odd minutes left with us, and where I will give you around 10 minutes, 15 minutes to ask anything that you want to, if I can help you out. The context of today's session is not about learning the tips and tricks or how you do it digitally, how the techniques work, what are the hacks. If you go online, there are tons of content available for that. You can follow Neil Patel, who's a digital marketing expert. You can look at many other people who are throwing up very good content around the tips and tricks of how you actually do it in a technical way. So if you're hoping that I would be giving that, that will actually be a waste of the entire experience that I bring to the table. So what I would rather prefer to do is give you some insights as to when somebody is trying to look into this area, that okay, how to build up my brand, or what exactly is a brand. Or there are some very typical questions that come in our mind, and the same has happened with me as well. So I've gone through that journey, like Monisha introduced that. She actually kind of disclosed my age also. So I have around 15 years of experience. So now in that entire experience of whatever career that I had so far, it's not that I was always very focused on having a personal brand per se. In my time, at that time, this was not even a topic. There was nothing around branding, because we have seen the evolution of internet and, let's say, even technology. So for us, getting accustomed to this topic, this area, and then trying to sustain ourselves and uplift ourselves in the market was kind of a task, right? So when I started off, I was a typical professional, passing out like you guys out of my college, just picked up a career in operations, because at that time that was something I was really passionate about. that I love to do service delivery. I want to help clients set up the operations, make those processes, documents and all. So it was all passion which followed in that. But over a period of time, I personally realized that, that question started to come in my mind, that is it something that is keeping me happy? Is it something who I am really from inside? And that's when I realized that there is a huge inclination in myself around the creative side of the world. I was really passionate about, even in our work, we used to really, strive for creativity. But then you obviously have a restriction in operations side of the business. So that was the time where I actually took a big risk and, made a career transition towards marketing and also digital marketing. And when I say marketing, digital marketing and marketing are basically no two different areas. It's just that marketing is there, whether you market yourself or you market a company or a product or a service, and digital is just an enabler which has come now. So the confusion primarily that we carry is that, digital marketing is something very different and marketing as a whole subject is something very different. But that's not the case. And when the same logic is applied on you as a person, as an identity, that's when the personal branding topic comes up. So if I have to, differentiate that what is a business brand and what is a personal brand, more or less they're both same. What we're talking about is that, there is some kind of perception about this particular business brand, a product or a service, which people see, and the same kind of perception they can have about an individual as well. So before I head on to, and I don't have a very heavy dose presentation for you where you have to kind of make notes and all. The idea would be to just understand what I'm trying to say, just try to absorb that. If you have any leading questions, ask me right away, or, let's be out there to connect. So the basics, the basic clarity that you need to have is that we all are a brand. So you are already a brand. The only difference might be that you're not out there. You're not out there, you're not vocal, you're not sharing your story. You probably have not made a choice to be out there. But in a nutshell, we all are a brand because there is some kind of perception or some kind of belief which people already have about you, right? In all the probability, let's understand and accept that it's not possible that none of us have any talent, no skills at all, or even the basic learning capacity that we can learn something and make that our skill. So if that is the ground rule we set here today, that means you already have something inside you, right? You either have a talent or a skill or something like a learning where you can actually make that a talent or a skill. Let's start with this. And I want everybody who's out there to understand that there is no escape from it. People have started already looking you as a brand. Now, the only thing is how important you make it for the people. So when we go into the personal brand development journey, when I started off, we look into the mirror and these are like very, very basic questions that we have. Let me just put this down. We have this very basic, there's a methodology around 5 Qs, which comes to human mind when they are trying to look at some new area, right? What is personal branding? Why is it important? How should I do it? When is the right time to do it? Which is a question which people, as Monisha mentioned, that you guys are about to hit the industry. So if you're still debating and struggling to know, then when is the right time? So that's an answer that you need to have. And who will help me? Is there somebody that will help me with this process, or it's something that I'll have to put myself into it? So who's the engine, who's the fuel for it? So I will try to answer those questions in very, very simple way. And if you look at the images that I've used, probably you will be able to kind of resonate with the message that I'm trying to give. So what is personal branding? I just mentioned to you, right? What you believe in and what you want others to perceive. Now that's the combination of a lot of things. And I'll put a hold here for a minute and I'll pose back my second question, except the energy part. How many of you must have seen this creative which went out, which talked about this session, which is upcoming. You made a registration choice. Now, how many of you actually went down to any platform on social media and tried to see who I am? Like made a choice to, look into my profile, or if not, then what is it that you're carrying right now as a perception? And I want all of you to put that in the comment section. Just one word. Don't write big paragraphs or sentences. Just put up what is coming to your mind. Let's see the comments. I'll give a minute for that, like 30 seconds to you guys, 30 seconds for me to read. And please don't try to bluff. If you have genuinely seen my profile, if you have given that much of time. Okay, I can see chat. Fame, okay. Come on, guys, let's type. And I'm looking for honest replies. Don't have to give me good English words. Just give me honestly if you know anything, if you don't know anything. Okay. So that's an honest confession. You did not see my profile. Sounds interesting, so I join. Okay. Guys, another 30 seconds. Come on, we are around 19 people and only 3 people have written in. So I will take it as that nobody has seen the profile. Learn from your experience, okay? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm a mother of an aspirant. I just came here to listen to you. Great. Fantastic. So guys, now, before I answer this thing, let's make it a ground and a thumb rule, not let's say not a ground rule. Please, please, please make sure that whenever you are going ahead and interacting with anyone, you know, whether it's for a job interview, whether it's for a personal meeting, whether it's for a sales meeting, once you have joined somewhere, whether it's for a college admission, anything that you're looking at interacting with a new person for the first time, right? Or if there is an exchange of information that you're about to make, please make it a thumb rule to go ahead and try to look at their profiles, you know, because that is something which will happen with you as well. So once you do that as an exercise, it will fill you up with so much of knowledge and preparation that the conversation that you're about to have or the interaction that you're about to have will actually be tenfolds. And also it will also give you an idea as to what kind of perception that you have built about that person vis-a-vis the reality that you're about to encounter. And that is what exactly the entire personal branding is all about. There could be a brand persona that I've kept online where I'm putting up content and I'm putting up my story. There is an identity that I've created, which might be very different from, or it might be very close to the person that I actually end up meeting. So for you to have an understanding of that particular piece is very, very important. Otherwise, there will be a big part of the entire piece that you will be missing out. And especially if you're going ahead now for interviews and prepping up. So the person that you're about to meet and the company that you're about to actually get interviewed in, it's very critical and important to go ahead and do that research. It's not called stalking, it's a positive side of research. So you should and you must do that. Now, that is exactly what personal branding is all about. Whatever efforts I have made and in terms of building up that persona, which could be a combination of my competencies, it could be a combination of my skills, it could be a combination of the core values that I believe in, right? It is something that you have to identify and decide. It's not something that you can look at it as it's not a role, it's not a job that you have to pursue for a while. It's something which people will start to perceive and relate to. So if I started off this thing on a high note, I want you to carry back that message and probably remember, if you forget everything else that we're discussing, at least remember that bit that, okay, somebody who was energetic. So maybe that is a conscious effort that I made in terms of building that perception in your mind. So that is the most important part of being, trying to start with the journey of personal branding. Identify the core skill, identify the core value that you have, which you want in the long run to be identified as you, right? So I hope that's clear themselves. I'm not opening up anything for the questions right now, but that's the key. That is all about personal branding that you will find anywhere, and that is what you need to understand. If you try to have this identity and yourself at a very right, let's say you are this person and you're trying to build up an identity just for the sake of it to somebody else as an X and Y, you will not be able to sustain. So for sustainability, you will have to bring this as close as possible. but let's not be out there 100%, right? Keep a bit of 80, or let's say you hit 90%, and keep that 10% reservoir for yourself, because that is the inner circle of the individuals who really know you, right? So the personal brand has to touch, let's say, I mean, I try to be at least, as honest and as authentic as I can be, but there is a bit of me that is left for my own internal people to know. But I do not try that 90 or 80% that I'm hitting to be fake or something that I'm doing for a particular purpose, right? It's not a resume, it's a personal brand. Now, why is it important? It's actually extremely important. I mean, I cannot emphasize the fact how important it has become right now. I started off the presentation with the word, you are a brand. Whether or not you're out there, whether or not you're trying to build a brand, people will make choices and perceptions about you. And we will see some statistics. And if you yourself Google, the kind of hiring statistics or the kind of job competition that you are right now surviving in, it has gone extremely high. Look at the current situation. We are all in a lockdown mode, right? We do not have the luxury to meet somebody one-on-one. If in that case, somebody is actually trying to find you online, interview online, conduct the entire onboarding process online, right? And then make you start working online, which is actually happening. I mean, that's how we are doing it in Tata right now. We have actually been interviewing candidates just through video calls. We have been doing the entire onboarding process and induction through video calls, and now they are operating in a video call environment. So imagine if that, where we do not have the luxury to meet a person hand in hand, get that energy, sharing that needs to be done, how would the personal build the perception around you, right? So it's an extremely important part of the journey, and it gives you tremendous power. If in case you want to influence anybody, right, a positive influence, of course. If in case you're looking at influencing anybody, let's say to make a purchase tomorrow, maybe many of you would like to enter a sales or a marketing profile. Sales, if you think that it's just a just a overnight conversion that happens, you have a good product and you go out and you sell it to somebody, that's not how it works. People usually end up buying from the people, right? It's no matter we have businesses, no matter we have products and services, but if you look at the end, at the end journey, we are all humans interacting with humans. So if I enter a retail store Chroma, I'm actually talking to a salesperson, and the brand that he carries of himself might actually will be representing Chroma and might actually offend me and kill my sales process there. So you have a lot of power to influence people in whatever role you choose to tomorrow. You will go at a leadership position. Whether or not you decide to have a personal brand of yourself, you will actually end up influencing all the people working around you, your peers, your subordinates, or anybody. So it gives you a huge influencing power. It helps you grow. Personal branding is not about just being out there. It's also about taking in from people. I mean, right now, whatever we are doing, it's a two-way process, right? I'm also getting an opportunity to understand that, there is this bunch of people who are looking at getting into the market now, and probably they have some confusions around this particular area. There are a lot of things that in a hidden way or in an open way, I'll end up learning, or my interactions with Monisha, or whatever perception she had of me. So there is a growth process which happens when you start to be out there and you make it like a storytelling process. When somebody hears your story or somebody tells you their story, it helps you create, right? Many of you might be looking at doing startups. Now, what is a startup? There might be very few startups where you do not know about the founder, right? Because it's all about the journey of a person who had an idea and how he made that idea a success. And that's how the startup industry is working. So the business brand and your personal brand, especially in the startup industry, cannot be differentiated, because everybody is very curious to know that who is the innovation mind behind this particular thing, who has created this vision, and those become the stories for future references. Something we have been historically listening out, that Albert Einstein did this and this person created this. So if you're looking to start up, then this is the time for you to also start up your brand, right? You can attract, that's obvious. I mean, if you already have, let's talk about the entertainment industry. Let's talk about an area where we have, fashion brands or entertainment industry. The followership that we have ourselves seen, and many of us, if we go to our Instagram handles, half of the followers that, half of the people we follow are the people who are attracting us. We don't know them. We will probably not even meet them in our entire lives, but we are so attracted by the stories that they're telling, whether it's a personal story, whether it's a story about the product, let's say a movie is a product. Whatever they're telling, we are so attracted and influenced by it that we start to follow them. We make it a ritual to follow them. And it gives you a huge power to advocate, something that we have started to see a lot happening very recently. I mean, a real life example is running right now in the media, are all around us. It is definitely you can use and abuse it, but at the same time, if put in a right order, it gives you a huge power to advocate about the causes that you really want to support, be it animals, be it green, like, what am I saying? Be it animals, be it environment, be it supporting some cause, women entrepreneurships, women empowerment, feminism, whatever it might be. It gives you a huge power to put across your conviction that this is the topic, this is an area that I support, and I'm vocal about it. Until unless you're out there, nobody would actually listen to you. So you have to be out there, and that is why it has become important. So any of this is something that you're looking at doing. This is an area that you should start thinking of right away. How should I do it? Now, this is one of the major things which I get questioned the most about, and this is one of the things which I had the biggest question of. That, okay, I understand personal branding is about perception, my persona, my skill sets, all that stuff. I know it's really important, but how should I do it? Which handle should I choose? What should I start putting? What are the hashtags I should be putting? Guys, there is no fixed rule around it. The entire world wide web is your oyster. Just go out there. The only few things that you should keep in mind is that content will always remain the king. That's like a thumb rule we apply in marketing, whether we are doing it for business or anything. Until unless you are able to put up the right authentic content in a consistent manner. So content and consistency, these are the two thumb rules of when you're looking at creating a personal brand. If you think that you will just start to reshare something on a regular basis, if you think that quantity is something that really works out when we're talking about building a brand, let me put up a post every day, let me be everywhere, that's not going to work. The only thing it's going to do is it's going to damage you, it's going to kill you in the entire process. So the starting step should be know your comfort zone. Every platform that we look at, let's say LinkedIn, let's say Twitter, let's say Facebook, let's say Instagram. I'll just talk, if I have to talk about all these four primary ones, and we have tons of them in addition to that. Now, out of all these four, there is a core purpose of each of these handles. LinkedIn has been designed for business networking. It's not even a job search, platform. They have now transitioned over to where they're pushing it across as a job search portal. But practical and the primary goal of LinkedIn initially was to connect the people in a polished business setup. It used to be called as a Facebook in a suit. Facebook is all about casual networking with family and friends and everybody, right? Instagram was always focused on imagery. Put up the images, put up, they wanted to promote photography, they wanted to promote videos and all. So their entire focus was not about lengthy content, putting up a lot of, theory around stuff. It was all about showing the messaging in the least possible way, but in a very, very attractive manner. Twitter till now has always set up a limit of 140 characters, and it only talks about sharing an opinion, like a quick thought. You saw something, or you have actually, you maybe read something or whatever, and what is that immediate thought that you want to share it with the world, right? So every platform had its own, like the design mechanisms behind it. They had a different goal and an objective, and that is the reason they have a different audience base altogether. So the first most important thing is that you have to understand what makes you comfortable and which is the platform where you would want to start. If you're not comfortable putting your brand out on Facebook, don't do it. You don't have to worry about that Facebook might give you 1 lakh followers, so let me just be out there. No, start with something that you're happy with. Let's do it with LinkedIn, where you're already there maybe. Let's try to do it only on Instagram. So identify the right platform for yourself. Secondly, maintain consistency. We have this very common, thing that we always hear: out of sight, out of mind. That's exactly what will happen on social media. And that will happen more on social media. I will show you some statistics. And if you see, this is an old statistics, in fact, taken in 2019. The data never sleeps. I mean, we are right now in a situation where we are all flooded with content. So if you have identified that this is my niche, this is my differentiating factor, then what is that differentiating factor that you are going to apply in your content? You are competing with so many people. Look at Instagram, there are 277 stories in a day, right? That is getting posted. Imagine if you end up putting one of those stories as well. Why would and how would somebody land up into your Instagram story? So you have to understand the competition that you're right now surviving in. And to stand out in that competition, it's very important to have a very clear focus that, okay, this is what I'm looking at, and this is how I will start in a slow and steady manner on that particular platform, and keep a consistency there. Create your own content. Do not try to duplicate or copy or be fake around it. That will not help you in the long run. And that is most of the people are trying to do that. So don't do that. That's like a suicidal attempt that we're looking at doing, because once we get on board and once we have built that perception and then we try to switch it to something else, people will not be able to adjust to that. Somebody has already built up a perception around you, and that breaking that perception is much, much more difficult than building that perception, right? Look at this number. Instagram has active users of 1 billion every day. Facebook has monthly active users of 2.5 billion, Twitter 310, LinkedIn 330. I mean, look at the numbers that you're competing with. And we're talking about standing out amongst these numbers. So you have to practically understand that all those hacks which are given to you online in terms of applying the tips and the tricks will not be the only thing and will not be sufficient enough for you to stand out. That there are many people who are trying to build up a brand, but that is where they're losing out the battle. That they look at putting up the best of the tricks in there, but over a period of time the authenticity misses out. I don't know if I can make a switch on this presentation. No, I cannot. But okay, is my screen visible? Monisha, can you say yes or no? If it's not, or it's there.
Yeah, it is visible.
Okay. So guys, just to give you a flavor of my LinkedIn profile, and this is my Twitter handle, and this is my Instagram profile. Now, all three of them serves a very different purpose for me, right? I already have a follower base, less or more doesn't matter to me, but I have a loyal follower base for some time. Now, LinkedIn is a profile where I probably want to interact in my business network, right? But if you look at my profiles, all of them have some consistency out there. Like, this is the message that I want people to understand, that either you have to face a situation or you will fade off. So this is something that I out loud throw it to people. Then I have very clearly defined the areas that I really want to be known for. Marketing is one, personal branding is one, growth is one, and conversationalist is one. I like to engage with people. I like to talk to people, understand their stories, and return tell mine as well. And if you will go down my profile, that is exactly what you will see in my description as well. Same way when I go to my Twitter, I have put in a little bit of a fun flavor in the photograph, but I still trying to communicate the same things. I am mentioning that I'm a marketing head. I like personal branding. I am growth catalyst, but then I've also put in some other hats which I enjoy, like traveling, photography, animal lover. And the same I have replicated on my Instagram. So what I'm trying to tell you here is that consistency and your own freshness to the content that you're bringing is something that will help you differentiate. I'm not saying that I've become a personal brand, but this is the journey that I've started on. And if I continue on this track, I will find success. When should I start? The biggest question that you guys might be having right now, okay, let me pass out, then I will make my LinkedIn profile. If you guys have already not made a LinkedIn profile, you are really late. The journey of personal branding, or let's say your brand presence, yourself online, will never happen overnight. I've already given you the stats that you're competing with. I started off my Instagram in 2012. I was on Facebook. I don't use it now, from 2009. And LinkedIn has been there for almost over 11 years. So whatever progression has been there on my LinkedIn, it has taken me time. I'm not saying it's going to take you 10 years to do that, but if you are thinking that, once I have the opportunity, I'm out there in the market, that's when I will make my LinkedIn profile. Till then, you're happy with Facebook and Instagram because that's your college, networking site. You're already late in the business. People will already start to look at your social media handles. Hiring companies will evaluate you on those, content pieces that you're putting up here and there, maybe on other platforms. And the connects and the networking that you need to do has already run past time. It is no more a luxury. It's actually a necessity for you now. You have to be on those relevant handles where the organizations we are asking and aspiring you to be there. It's okay. It's a personal area and you can say that I will not be on LinkedIn. But over a period of time, you might really try, you might really actually understand that what and how much you're missing on if you really want to have a personal brand. If you have made a choice, a conscious decision that I don't want to be out there, I want to keep hiding myself, then it's fine. But guys, just don't confuse personal branding with your nature. This is another problem I have seen a lot lately, and otherwise, that people mix up their personal nature with their personal brand. I am an introvert, so I can't have a personal brand. No, introvert can be your nature. You probably do not like to open up. So then, that percentage that I told you, have a little bit of more reservoir. Let's be 70% out there. Let's keep 25% as your personal self. But if you mix that up, if you say that I'm an introvert, I can't have a personal brand, that's a wrong position to be in. So try to break that and be out there. Now, who can help me? Nobody can help you practically. All the people, all the technology, all the download that I'm giving to you right now, or if you Google any information, they can only act as a fuel. They will not sit down with you and do this and take this journey with you. They can help you in a minute or that particular activity, but you have to be the vehicle of your own success. So you have to start trusting yourself first that yes, I am a brand. I do have a skill. I do have a talent. I have something that stands out, or I can build that up. I know what I'm comfortable with. I have found my voice. I know these are the platforms that I would like to be out there on. And this is the technology that I want to use on, and just be out there. You can always look at, people and other people who are probably experts in the market, whether you're learning in a free mechanism on YouTube or you're actually talking to somebody to guide you through. That's what industry experts are for, but they will not take this journey with you, right? So anything that you're looking for, and if you're looking that somebody will come and do this job for me, nobody will do it for you. You have to do it yourself, because the content and the consistency is deeply, deeply connected to the core value. And nobody can understand that core value better than yourself. So you have to figure it out. This is a statistics which I've taken, just very, very few statistics. If you will actually Google down, and if you ask your maybe corporate communications team or the placement departments, the kind of emphasis right now on social media hiring, and in fact, let's say a digital hiring, has increased tremendously, right? 90% of the employers find social media important when they evaluate candidates. Guys, you might not, I'm not really sure if you're exposed to this side of the world, but many organizations, and in fact, most of the organizations, do an online search and a research of the candidate they're about to hire, right? They have third-party agencies, there are businesses running to do this job. And we all, if we ever made a digital footprint, that's, let's say, the beauty and the downside of the digital world. If you ever made a digital footprint, it's gonna lie there. So whatever movement we do is something that is analyzed by the employers, and it can actually elevate your hiring. If you are really out there, you're a good advocate of a cause, or if you are really becoming an influencer or anything, if you're doing, that might really, really increase your chances for a better hiring. There are many people in the world, and in many companies in India as well, who have become a much bigger personal brand than their organization. There's a guy, Ashish Chopra, he has written a book, on viral marketing. He works with Ixigo. Now that guy himself has become such a huge, influencing, powerful personal brand that Ixigo is gaining so much of the employee, the business and traction just by his power. So if a company and organization see that happening, why would they not pick you out of the entire competition? More than 95% of the recruiters use LinkedIn regularly, because LinkedIn is now positioning themselves very strongly as a hiring area. It's no longer just communicate, interact. And I'm not talking about just the regular job function, like you connect with somebody, you tell that I'm looking for a job. That might not really work out 100%, but the job feature, both for the hiring companies and both for the applicants, it has really tremendously increased. So if you are not, and many of the jobs are not even getting posted on other handles like Naukri or Monster, but you might end up finding them on LinkedIn. So the referencing works, and when you find that job, you find that company, and if you have built your networking over a period of time, you will realize that you might know some people working in that company. You might be able to figure out that, oh, I know these 4 people as a common connect. So you have a much more better access to that organization. You have a better chance to put up your application. So start doing that. 85% of companies use social media in recruitment. So they are using social media as a whole. Now, I'm not trying to just emphasize LinkedIn. I'm talking about the entire social media network. A lot of companies even understand and try to observe and analyze your social footprint. Now, if you if you have become a troller, if you really, talk about or advocate or be vocal about any topic, but in a very offensive way, they might be tracking you down. They might be tracking you down on Facebook, and they understand that this is not the person that, because that is the core value you have actually reflected them by putting up, let's say, abusive content, or let's trying to pull down some people. They will make a perception about you that this is what this person might really be, because it is going out from his handle. So if I bring in this person in my organization, it might really lead, it might increase my challenges. So you have to be very cautious of what you're trying to do on social media, right? I can see some chat option coming up. Ma'am, is it that we are not active in social media, then we'll not get a good job? Okay, so let me answer this question right away. This is not about being present on social media, right? It's not about that if you're not on social media, you will not land up a good job. You can still land up a good job. The only thing is that what are you missing out on? What is the probability and chances? So if you know that employers are finding students or doing a hiring on LinkedIn much more, and if you're trying to look at other mechanisms, so maybe what you're doing is you're just putting yourself in a position where you're increasing your challenge. So you have to progress with the way the world is progressing. Like I said, it's nobody's pushing you to be out there. Nobody's asking you to put up the personal brand. But if that is the need of the hour, if you know that that is how the world is moving, then how long can you escape it? So if you're ready to increase that challenge, then yeah, right, why not? But if you think that let me be in the game and let me play this much or let me play that much, then that's a choice again. I hope I answered your question. So there is no pressure, and I'm not defining or giving a decision on it that you do not, if you're not on social media, then you cannot have a job. But yes, the probability and the chances of getting that maybe in a faster way or in a better way or easier way might really reduce. Okay, I have another question coming up. Got it. Thank you. So guys, we are almost around the 4 minutes left. Now, let me put up this guy in front of you, right? What do we identify? Let me ask this question back again, and probably the last question for the session. I'm not really sure that all of the people who are right now on board with us are really a big fan of him or not. I'm not personally a very big cricket fan, but he is a classic example of personal brand, right? Now, let me ask all of you, if whatever you think of, Mahendra Singh Dhoni, just put up on the comment box. Let me hear it out. I'll give you 1 minute for that. Whatever you might, like again, let's say whatever perception you have built for him. Come on, guys. So somebody replied, cool. Other person is writing, he's the coolest guy of the team. One person has written, I don't know cricket at all, but I don't know cricket, but all I know is that he's known as one of the greatest players of all time. I always respect his hard working nature. He is a legend. That has been put up in bold. So that's coming from a fan, I'm sure. He is a very talented and hardworking cricketer. Perfect decision maker. Keep coming. Captain Cool. Cap Cool. Okay, let's go down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good captaincy. He knows how to deal with immense pressure. Guys, what is all this? Whatever you have written, whoever few of you have written in here, this is his brand. I think out of 8 or 10 comments which came, one of the things was, common among many of you were cool. He's known as cool cucumber. That's one of the classic quality that he has. Now, is it something that he's putting up on social media? Is he writing that I'm a cool person, I'm cool? No, he's one of the simplest guys. Always appreciate his leading team at. So you guys are, you have built that brand image of him that he's a cool guy, he has a leadership quality, he's something who has the best captaincy and all that stuff. Now that is something which is in fact, like the cool part of it is very different to his cricket, right? Whether or not he keeps that attitude, he can still be a very good batsman, right? But he has built that persona around that people look at him and appreciate those things. And now that is, when he puts that out in the, consciously or unconsciously. Now he might not be on Facebook, and he can choose to be not on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, anywhere, but he's out there on your screens, he's out there on the ground. When he has made that thing out there, that actually makes him in a position where he can influence, he can grow, he can create, he can advocate. He is one of the person who has the most branding opportunities. Yeah, if the number of ads, the kind of turnover that he makes just from his brand presence is much more than he makes from his actual profession, which is cricket. And that is something which, like, one of the person asked, whether I will get a good job or not. The point is, if you're doing it consciously, or if you're not doing it, if you're doing it unconsciously, this is the perception that you guys have already built of this guy, right? So this is exactly what happens to all of us, whether or not we choose to make that as our, as vocal. But that, and I think this is the person who gives least of those interviews. He makes very less appearances on social media. He doesn't talk that much and all, but he is one of the most powerful brands that has ever existed in the cricketing history, right? So that's in the nutshell. I think I have done with my session. Whatever download I needed to really share in the limited time frame that we had. Now, talking about consistency, this is, if you look at my handles, Reach Nidhi, Reach Nidhi, Reach Nidhi. Now, this is something when I talked about consistency, right? This was an unconscious effort that I made when I started off these handles. When I started off, and they all happened in different time periods. Like when I started on LinkedIn, I was not there on Twitter maybe for 4 or 5 years. But when I decided to open up myself on these handles, I just made this Reach Nidhi, right? And today, if I go back and look at it, because it's very difficult to find a consistent domain, you will struggle for it. If you are, or like I said, you're already late in the race. If you are trying to look at finding your domain by your full name, if you're looking at finding the most optimum and your choice of handles, it's practically not possible. It's not easy, right? Because that has also become a business. Now, I made a unconscious decision some time back of keeping this as my handles. Today, it has really helped me to have a conscious effort of putting myself out there. It's consistent. It is giving the messaging that I want to give it to people, that you can reach me. So some decisions which you might take today unconsciously will give you the results in the long run, right? So I think I'm over with whatever download I had to give. Ponisha or anybody, we can open up for the conversation if anybody has any questions, if anybody wants to ask anything. Because we're left with 10 minutes, so I would like to leave 10 minutes at least with the people. Okay, I have some questions coming. How do you find the courage to keep yourself out there, especially for those who have anxiety? Okay, anxiety and courage. Okay, see, you kind of what you're trying to figure out here is that anxiety is and I go through that a lot in my myself as well. It's not that every time I attend a session or I give it something that I am really all excited and energetic with. I do go through that anxiety phase, but anxiety is a very, very situational thing. There might be some things that are not working in your favor at that particular time, whether it is the fear, whether it's the fear of getting judged, whether it's not being very prepared with your content, whether it's not having the right kind of control over your delivery. There would be a lot of components which will give you and build that anxiety. So first, I think what you should try and look at is how to get away from all of that. Don't do personal branding if you're looking for the right judgment, if you're looking to please somebody, if you're trying to make everybody happy. That's not going to happen. You cannot make the entire world happy. You cannot please everybody. What is trolling? You cannot avoid from being judged or anything. So you have to take away anything that is building that anxiety in you. And if you are confident about your content, if you are comfortable with reaching out, if you're authentic, if you are yourself, then the courage will flow automatically. Like right now when I'm talking to you, this the delivery that I'm making, or this passion or whatever is coming out, it's not constructed. It is because this is my area. This is the something that I'm really passionate about. I would want people to acknowledge it, understand that I really do it out of passion. So it's coming from inside. So there is no anxiety, there is no courage required, because I am right now 100% authentic. So Monica, that's exactly what you need to do. Kill away any fear. Don't do it for judgment, and just be out there. And that's why maybe, let's say Instagram is your handle. You're just comfortable being on Instagram. You're just comfortable putting your photographs. You're just comfortable putting your poetry. Just do that. Don't do it for the sake of pleasing anybody. I hope I answered your question, Monica. Good luck. Anything else, guys? By the way, by giving, interacting less in the chat group here also is making me have some perception for you guys. I would actually end up having the entire list from Monisha, and I will. These were the people who were really vocal and very conversative in the in the entire session, and those were the people who kind of by putting in whatever they wanted to. So everything that we're doing now, this is not a social media presence, guys. It's a participative engagement that we are having. So if anything is stopping you, or if there is anything that you're holding back from putting in, that is the battle that you have to get away with. You have to break that. What if the person knows the topic about the discussion but unable to present it in a satisfactory way? What is the solution of this? Okay, so I'm not taking the names. I'm sure people might get offended by that. See, you said like, what is the person knows the topic but unable to present it in a satisfactory way? Who defines what is the satisfactory way? Right now, am I aware that what will make all the 19 people who are here, or 20, whatever number of people are here, what will satisfy each one of you? You all have your own satisfaction level. Somebody might be liking my energy, somebody might not be liking it, somebody might be liking my content, somebody must have come with something completely different in their mind. Oh, I will learn the tips and tricks and all that. This was maybe a download. So you cannot identify and decide, and there is no benchmark that this is what clicks, and then you say that I have done it in a satisfactory way. You have to know that this is the content that I want to share, this is the post that I want to put, and I am happy with it because it's fresh, it's authentic, it's unique, it's something different that I've done. I've really put in a thought behind putting that up. Even a photograph, even a tweet, I didn't just do it because somebody else was doing it, I downloaded and I copied and did it. No. So if you're authentic, there is no fear. When we try to copy paste, when we try to fake, when we try to follow the herd, I think that's where we are not really sure that whether people will be happy with the outcome or not. I hope I answered that. I'm not taking the name. Thank you. I've started an event management firm which organizes events too. All right. I'm having 22 members in my team, which are in their respective departments like technical, creative, marketing, finance, legal, etc. We have made social media handles on different platforms. Can you please give me some advices so that we have our own value in the market? Same thing. I mean, sorry, I'm not taking the name again. Same thing. Whatever, like I said at the very start, the business brand and the personal brand, the basics are completely same. What is it that you want people to understand and know about your event management firm? Is event management firm a new concept? No. Is it something that they won't find otherwise? No. What is it that you guys are doing differently, and why should they come to you? So it is all about, what I would advise you more is, instead of thinking that, on all the handles, how should we do it and all, you should rather go back to your creative desk, go back to the dashboard, and try to figure out what is the story that you can differentiate with. Handles are just the tools, they are just mechanics. Put up the content, put the hashtags, put the handles, do it at the right time, all that will work in your favor. But the major thing which I see in your entire content is that you are an event management firm, you have a good team in place, probably you are all everywhere, but now what is it that you are doing different, right? You have not made an invention, so why should I come to you? So that is what you have to work on, that how do I, and I would advise one thing that is really working out in personal branding is, being out there in a realistic form. Now we all are consuming content, but what is the most, like the most prominent content everybody's consuming right now? I will give you the answer, I'll not ask you. Videos. So if you think that video is something which is up the game, which is the demand of the market, and if you're trying to not do it, then there is a disconnect. So maybe try to put some realistic content, do inside stories, give behind the scenes, put up, recommendations of your existing clients, put up some work that you've already done, show it, share them, and tell them that this is what you can help them with. Because at the end of the day, everybody is coming to you for something. Now, what is that outcome? Media waste of time because it's distracting any pointers. Distracting is something that is completely in your control. I switch off put my phone off, on a silent mode with the net off at 10 o'clock, and I do not open it till 8 o'clock. So that's my digital detoxification phase. I'm not overnight working on my personal brand. In the morning, I'm all energized and do it. So social media, it has become a waste because that is where we are getting attracted to. Again, the same thing. If you are getting attracted to social media as a waste, then that is where we have landed in. If you figure out what is it, something that will add value to you. On my Instagram, I hardly follow any individual. I have made it a rule. Very few people, there are very few people whom I follow. I basically follow all the handles for the kind of knowledge that I'm looking at. So I follow Net Geographic, I follow all the handles of Net Geo because I'm an animal lover. I like, those kind of photography. Now that is not a waste for me. It's more insightful for me. Where will I find all that content sitting in India, right? So it's not a waste. It's not a distraction. You have to set up the right kind of rules for yourself. Okay. It's a reservoir of knowledge. Come on, we would have died in the lockdown if there was no internet, there was no platforms. What would I be done for 6 months or maybe another 6 months? So basically what makes us unique from others? You answer me. That's a question that has come to me. What makes us unique? Maybe my energy is making me unique. Maybe not everybody has it. I used to, when I used to work in operations team, at 8 o'clock, I used to be in office. I can only tell you about my stories. I can't cook up and tell you, fake stories. I used to be in office at 8 a.m. and at times I used to leave at 8 p.m. But the same energy that I used to carry is the same energy that I used to leave with. And that's exactly what people used to catch hold of me and say, where did you find this? How do you find this energy? Because I was so passionate about my work. The whole day, the workplace was like my second home. I used to enjoy it. So the uniqueness is something that you have to identify. And guys, that's why I'm again emphasizing, do not try to build. Maybe sleep over with this thought tonight, that what is it that makes you completely comfortable. Try to come as close as possible to that and then try to bring it out, right? Whether through social media, whether in a personal setup. Forget about social media. This entire presentation or this discussion is not around social media presence. You guys are, you are in NIIT University. You have this tremendous opportunity to make connections lifelong, not just with your friends or your student mates and classmates, your professors, your teachers, your admin department, your technical department. Are you really paying attention to that? Have you even walked down into administrative room or technical department and tried to even understand that person who's giving you all these technical facilities? Probably not. Now that might be a connection that might pop up 5 years somewhere else, that you are sitting in some position and you say, oh, you were there in NIT University. So these are relationships that we're building. So don't confuse everything that I've told you about that it's all about social media. It's about who you are, how you want people to perceive it. As simple as that. That's the only game. And it works more in a physical setup, but fortunate or unfortunate, the world is moving in that direction that we have to adapt with it. We are looking at a time frame where AI technology will come in, so how will you run away from that? You will say, no, I'm not comfortable watching that. Lens card probably will stop their retail stores. If this is the way we are going to go in the COVID situation, there is a big chance of many of the market areas getting shut down. Now, if Lancecart tomorrow says, I will not have a retail store, I will only have an AI mechanism, you go down, you select, do a 360-degree, pick up a product, and you're not comfortable with that. And I'll give you an offer if you do this and you promote and all, and you're not comfortable. Fine, it's okay. But then you have missed out on that opportunity. I hope I answered the last two questions as well around finding social media waste and what makes you unique. We have, guys, 1 minute left. So any last minute questions? I hope you made some sense of all this, and I'm actually available on these handles. I'm not asking you to follow me. If you even want to reach out, have anything, feel free to anytime. You want to come through your college, you want to directly reach me out, I'll be more than happy to share insights. Okay, I believe no questions coming more. Okay, Monisha, I think there are no more questions.
Yes. So thank you so much, Nidhi. It was very interesting. I mean, if it was interesting for me, who's like all foggied up in front of all these young kids, then I'm sure it was interesting for them. But it's always a lot of fun interacting with you. You bring so much positive energy and such positive vibes, to the conversation. And you brought up some very interesting points that are extremely critical, not only to all of us who are in a working environment, who are interacting. I think overall, anybody who's interacting socially with anybody today, whether it's an older person or a younger person, I think all these points are extremely important. But more importantly, they're valuable tips for young generation, which is looking at completing one part of their big milestone of college education and moving into the outside world. So I really hope that our young brains had a lot to learn. And thanks for sharing your contact details. We will be in touch, and we'll be very happy to host you for another session in the near future. I do know that some part of your team is coming into campus for conducting something specifically for the cybersecurity enthusiasts. And for the student community, we'll be putting out details of that shortly. But thanks a ton, Nidhi. Thank you so very much. And to all the young minds there, thanks a ton for taking out time in the evening and being part of this session. Thanks a ton.
Thank you so much. Manisha, I'll just mention one point because that's something which everybody should be aware of. Specifically because of the lockdown, guys, there are three things which are coming up majorly as a concerning factor globally. One is the mental health, which is being talked about a lot. The second is the physical fitness. And the third, which is now cropping up as an issue, is the social scumming. That, because we are so, let's call it more like a physical social distancing or social distancing. So Monisha, maybe something of an attention for universities as well, that, being in that setup, everybody has become very awkward towards the orientation of interacting and, being socially connected. So that is actually becoming an arising problem globally. And it's being predicted that, probably once the people will be out of the lockdown, they will really struggle to network back or interact. And, so that's a cropping problem. So because you deal with young minds and you deal with all these students who might not really be, giving too much of attention to these things. But I think that's something that as a university, as a body of education, you guys should really put an emphasis on. And I'm sure you're doing, because you guys are doing a lot of webinars and all that. But guys, please make sure that you don't fall into the trap of any of these. Take care of your mental health. Please take care of your physical fitness. And please don't get into that awkward social scumming situation, because somebody mentioned about anxiety as well. That will really make very difficult for you to, get into the world of the corporate, like let's say get into the corporate world, because out there, it's going to be a completely different situation. it will be a highly demanding and highly challenging environment. So don't fall trap into any of that. Take care of yourself, stay safe, and just try to avoid any of these happening. If there is a problem, help. Reach out and ask the right person who can help you with any of these three. So just that, Monisha, I wanted, because we are facing that, and there's a lot of emphasis by Tata. Every other week we are having these mental health sessions. We are having diet sessions, what you should be eating and all. So as an organization, as a brand, it is a lot of concern for us. We are doing it internally, but I'm sure many organizations probably are not even thinking about it. But it's really required.
That's a very fair and a very valid point. And
Yeah.
for all of us who are in the session, I think there are always times when you want to be speaking to somebody without being judged. And I think it's an opportunity for us to understand that it's very, very important to be able to do that and find that one person who you can just have a conversation with. I think that's a very fair point that you made. Thank you so much, Nidhi, once
Thank
again.
you.
And thanks a ton for everybody who was part of this session.
Thanks,
See
everybody.
you
Have
soon.
a good evening
Bye-bye.
and stay safe. Bye.
Thank you.